So, ich wette, ich komme jetzt nicht normal hinten durch. Da hinten. Bei Schneewehe und so, ne?
The door is blocked by the snow.
Bam, bam. Nein. Da lang. Nein. Da lang. Da lang. Da lang. Da immer die Musik im Hintergrund, ne? Jetzt ist es nämlich gefroren hier. Und jetzt kommen wir in den Keller. Wait a minute. Okay, da müssen wir irgendwie rüberkommen.
The plate is right there, just in front of me. If the water level was higher, I could probably pass through.
Ja, wie soll ich hier durchkommen? Wie soll ich denn hier durchkommen? Ach so.
Can't do that now.
Okay, geht nicht. Ich kann hier nicht schießen. Ich habe eine Idee. Ist zwar sehr unkonventionell, aber kann ich das Wetter wechseln, wenn Regen ist? Ich meine, ansonsten habe ich die Axt jetzt gefunden, ne?
Snow and rain? Not a good mix.
Geht leider nicht.
Snow and rain? Not a good mix.
Wir übersehen irgendwas da. Okay. Aber was übersehe ich? Mist. Ich muss erstmal hier hin und Wind machen. Dann kann ich rüber. Und wahrscheinlich schnell Eis einfrieren oder so. Ich weiß es nicht. Aber so schnell komme ich ja hier nicht ran. Außerdem meckert er ja wieder, dass es nicht gehen würde. Aber was ist, wenn ich die Pumpe einfach hier aktiviere? Haben wir bei dem anderen auch gemacht. Dann war die Pumpe aktiv und hat gearbeitet. Wenn ich jetzt hier... So viel dazu, okay. War ein Versuch wert.
I have to wait a bit for the gem to recharge.
Wir kommen auch hier nicht hoch, aber hier wären die Pumpen. Nein. Kann leider auch nicht hier am Rand langlaufen. Wir kommen auch nicht an einer anderen Stelle raus. Da geht es auch definitiv nicht hoch. Also ich glaube nicht, dass wir von hier zum Windrad da gehen können. Okay, die Idee war gut, aber leider scheitert es an irgendeiner Stelle. Oder ich kann später ohne die Dinger den Wetterwechsel provozieren. Und komme hier bloß noch nicht weiter. Ja. Vielleicht können wir das ja später. Da lang. Ja, das sowieso. Ist leider ein Manko, mit dem ich leben muss. So, hat uns hier alles super geholfen, aber mehr ist hier nicht. Ja, von hier kommen wir auch nicht rüber. Vielleicht habe ich unten noch irgendwas übersehen. Vielleicht war er versteckt irgendwo in der Ecke ein Brunnen, mit dem ich wechseln hätte können. Ich glaube, wir kriegen erst später die Fähigkeit. Warte mal. Ich cheate mal. Geht nicht mit Cheaten. Verdammt. Wir können hier nicht schießen. Ich befürchte, was heißt befürchte? Wir müssen an anderer Stelle etwas verändern, damit das Wasser fließt. Wir nehmen jetzt die Axt. Was sagt die Uhr? Oh ja, wir sollten sowieso zurück nach Hause gehen. Wir nehmen die Axt und machen uns den anderen Weg frei. Das wäre jedenfalls ein gangbarer Weg. Und machen uns den Weg frei. Ja, wir sind ja jetzt schon auf dem halben Weg, aber wir müssen zurück. Erstmal können wir das Wetter umstellen. Und dann müssen wir hier den ganzen Weg wieder zurück gegenüber. Das können wir aber dann mit einer Schnellreise machen. Mit einer Schnellreise? Nee, sollten wir nicht mit der Schnellreise machen. Zum Leuchtturm laufen. Und beim Leuchtturm, also oder andersrum, wo das weiße Dingsbums ist hier, das weiße Herrenhaus, da können wir uns ja durchschlagen. So, was haben wir denn? Vielleicht sollte ich davon auch 1 oder 2 in eine Tasche packen. Einfach nur aus Platzgründen. Guck mal, das ist Munition. Nicht genug Platz, okay. So, die 2 Dings müssen wohl reichen erstmal. Schade, dass wir bloß die eine Kiste haben. Also eine Kiste an anderer Stelle wäre auch super. Okay.
While I was crossing the church to reach the altar, I noticed light coming from an inaccessible room located just below. It's probably a kind of forbidden crypt? But then why would there be light inside? Considering the police are looking for cult members, this would be a perfect place for them to regroup in total secrecy. There's a procedure to follow to unlock the crypt's access, but it's going to be complicated. The door lock is linked to a mechanism inside the memorial cross. If I place 4 commemorative plates, the cross will unlock the door automatically. Well, supposedly, at least. Right now, only one of the 4 plates is inserted on this cross. The one honoring the Duc de Bliard. The others are scattered in various places in Saint-Exil. I have to go to the church to learn a little more
Hätten wir mal
about
vorher
these
machen
plates.
sollen, die Audiokassetten.
They seem to be commemorating specific families whose tombs are inside the church itself. My investigation is turning into a treasure hunt. How great. Last note. Based on the documents, the key that unlocks most of the doors in the church is hidden at the heart of the cross, and I can already access it.
Nein.
Since I deactivated the jammer, This is very weird. This is very weird, Pierre. I found some ultra-bright and colorful sphere in this village. When I approach it, I start feeling like I'm being transported to a totally surreal world, a blinding world, rather calm, in which the water can go up the waterfalls, like these columns of water. Have you seen them too? Compared to the daily grind, it's a rather pleasant world to sink in. It feels quite cold, though. In this dreamlike environment, I walk through Greek and Roman vestige, just like those we saw on our trips before moving to the coast. I have the feeling of being constantly exposed to things that we experienced in the past. It allows me to cling into many memories of our arrival in Saint-Exil and all the events that took place before I was left alone here. Strangely, I have the feeling that time no longer passes when I find myself in this alternate world. Am I imagining this? Am I starting to daydream? Am I totally crazy, Pierre?
Meinst du?
It was a new beginning. We no longer had a penny in our pocket, but real hope in our eyes. Nobody knew us here. We were really starting from zero. We could have completely changed our ways of being if we had wanted. We had found the house that seemed perfect. At least perfect for us. It was a large building made entirely of wood and stones from the region, and which proudly faced the sea. We had so much space. We were finally able to breathe. And then there was a fireplace that gave such a warm atmosphere. It gave me a quiet yet powerful feeling of serenity since the first day. Well, up until what is happening at the moment. Although, we must admit that it deserves a little refurbishment, or at least a little wiping. The paint has suffered the effects of salt and time, and the holy windows let the wind pass through the whole house. You can hardly see it, but we threw all our last savings into this hole. Anyway, Pierre was only thinking of one thing: take as much space as possible to store his instruments. Whether it's the bedroom, the living room, or
Instrumente
in the
gesehen?
attic.
Namens Sarah.
Today, the garden is in a sad state. It looks like a dump. I used a lot of things that were lying around for tinkering or training. I feel good in this garden, especially right now. It's the only place I know I can be safe. None of these things are going to attack me here. With all the boxes we had, the laziness quickly caught up with us. This explains this feeling of permanent mess or perpetual moving. Life in boxes. Maybe we didn't really dare to open them all. Maybe it was too heavy after all these kilometers between us and people we love. It reminded us of too many things. It reminds me even more today.
Okay. Wird noch ein bisschen Hörstunde hier werden. Schauen wir mal.
To restore some kind of joy and positive atmosphere in the village, the mayor and the villagers gave themselves hearts and souls to maintain the good performance of the festivals and the annual fair. We like that kind of stuff with Pierre. So we went and took a look. Obviously, we weren't the only ones to appreciate. Almost the whole village was there. And to add beauty to the heart, the weather had even joined the party. It was a beautiful day. Ideal for celebrating outdoors. We took advantage of this moment to discuss work and professional future at Saint-Exil, still a little obscure for us. I was struggling to find a stable job in the area, and Pierre absolutely wanted me to pass this interview for a company that I had contacted. Despite the many discussions we had on the topic, we never managed to come to an agreement. There was therefore only one solution. The final decision will be picked during one of the fair ball games. It was our tightest match. And Pierre had to throw the last ball. My future was in his hands. But when it was time to shoot, a very violent, almost deafening noise rang in our ears. It was 2 fighter planes that were very close to Saint-Exil, and in particular, the place where the fair was being held. And then after that, nothing. Or more precisely, silence.
Das haben wir gesehen.
Everyone had their eyes fixed on the sky. Several seconds after that, there was a muffled sound in the distance. An explosion? I saw concern and panic creeping into the faces of the inhabitants. It was not normal. The planes and now this? What was going on? The silence was again broken by many birds coming out of the trees. The fair was surrounded by a forest, and we couldn't have any idea what was going on there. Thick yellow smoke began to appear. A few tens of seconds later, it already occupied almost entirely the place of the party. Pierre and I were paralyzed, unable to move. I saw some of the people in the fair breathing in the gas and immediately collapsing as if dead. We could only see about 20 meters away, I would say. And among this hubbub, or rather this general panic, I distinguished sounds, voices, which were spoke through walkie-talkies. I couldn't understand, but I managed to hear a sentence. Only one. Grab them all, till the last one. At that time, I saw what seemed to me like dozens and dozens of soldiers coming out of the woods. They were everywhere. They were armed and wore suits that allowed them not to breathe the gas and probably see a little more clearly than us. In a burst of courage, or stupidity, Pierre and I fled as far as possible without looking back. We returned home, knowing that we were trapped. We locked the door, taking one last look at the gas that was already progressing down our street. We were probably not the only ones who managed to escape. It was clear that they weren't going to leave us alone. We then thought of the same thing. We climbed up there top speed, and the box was still neatly stored, as if it was waiting for us. But we both knew on the way up, there was only one suit. Only one mask. Pierre left me no choice. It was so fast. I told him he couldn't do that. I didn't want to. Nothing worked. He made me put on the suit and the mask. I had tears in my eyes. I think he did too. He turned, looked at the window and exclaimed, "I see them. They arrive," and he took me in his arms and we stayed like that. I had the impression that it lasted for hours and just a few seconds. We felt the ground shaking, the furniture lying around vibrating. My eyes fell on Pierre again. He saw that I was terrified and I didn't want to let go of him. He looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Stay with me." Suddenly a kind of white light pierced the room from side to side, revealing us. He looked at me for the last time and whispered, "I love you, Elise." A few minutes later I woke up, at 8 o'clock sharp in the morning. I was lying in my bed. The light, the gas, the soldiers, Pierre. Everything had disappeared. I went outside. I was alone, left completely apart in Saint-Exil.
Okay, ich glaube, diese Storys kamen von den beiden Gebieten, die wir bereinigt hatten beim letzten Mal, ne? Mit den glühenden Orbs. Wow.
Not this again. These cabinets were in the lighthouse, too. They record signals coming from the sea. What were they trying to listen to?
Was beschreiben. Ja. Aber ich glaube, die Zahlen sind wichtig. 90, 20, 04, 12H12. Okay, das ist nur Krams. Das ist so ein Computer. Kommt man den ran? Ja.
I recognize this computer. It's in the lighthouse, too. Enter coordinates. What coordinates?
Die Koordinaten, die uns durchgegeben worden sind. Von dem Schiff. Das wirkt so, als wären wir, ja, okay, in einer Art Zeitschleife gefangen.
What are you doing here?
Ja.
Is that a message for them? Are they using these antennas?
Map, 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 map.
I had almost forgotten that dream.
Tag 26.